My name is Alan, and this is the story of how I met my fiancée, Anna.
Alan and I met on a children's theater tour of the East Coast. I always imagined, first of all, that I would be with someone who was Catholic. Never really thought I would marry another actor, somebody whose life was more stable than mine. I think I always dated blondes before Alan.
We were touring for about 2 weeks. I asked her out on our first date.
We went to the closest restaurant we could find, which was an Olive Garden, and we had to cross something like a 4 or a 6-lane highway of traffic on foot.
With tractor trailers going the whole time.
It was kind of like, what is that video game, Frogger?
A little bit after we started dating, we just gave each other a pre-show hug.
I was very down that day, and he came around before the show and he gave me a hug.
Do you remember the last scene in Return of the Jedi where like the father and Yoda and the ghosts visualize? Well, I saw my grandfather very much in that way. Just sort of the feeling of, you know, this is the one, Alan. This is the one for you. Being in shows together was this great way to start our relationship.
I would say it wasn't until a little later when we both ended up back in New York that we realized, you know, obviously how serious things were.
I knew I wanted to marry Anna. I knew I was in love with her. About 4 years into our relationship when we really started to have basically issues with each other.
You know, Alan and I come from different religious backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds.
I like to have a neat apartment and she has piles all over the place. And I would say being able to recognize what a difference is versus what a doubt is. Because differences are great for a relationship, but doubts can be difficult, can be hard. Once we went through that conversation, once we got over that hard time, I was able to look back and say, it's time to get married. It wasn't actually very hard at all to approach her father. It was a very easy call, so they knew.
I think we were about to cook dinner around 8 o'clock. I really wanted cornbread. And we were like, well, the best way to do cornbread is in cast iron skillets. Well, we didn't have any cast iron skillets. So we're like, we have to go get cast iron skillets to make this like the best dinner ever. So we're like, where are we gonna get cast iron skillets right now? I called my mom.
Her mom gets on the phone and basically her reaction is, iron skillets? You're calling about iron skillets?
My poor parents are like waiting on pins and needles for the phone call that's gonna be the phone call. And this phone call was about cast iron skillets.
So we got the skillets, we fixed the meal, and I say to Anna, you know, I think we should go up on the roof and have some dessert.
And I am so tired, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make it.
We're sitting there leaning over the rail, like, and I'm like, I'm about to pull the ring out, but I'm already like visualizing I'm gonna drop the ring and it's gonna go all the way down. But I didn't drop it, I pulled it out and I asked the question. Took her about 2 hours to say yes.